All right. I'm going to just go according to hands at this stage. So, Percy, you can go first.
Zina, I've only got one question. Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, Zina. I'll keep my Afrikaans question for the very end, though, Zina.
Yeah.
Guys, please, can you just ask a bit louder? We're on a remote speaker here, so please, if you can just ask your questions nice and loud.
I think Percy, you said you're going to ask a little bit later, no problem. Hello, guys. Yeah, so
okay,
next.
Winnie.
Hello, Rassi. I'm Winnie from RMC Sport, French media. My question is about the 30 years of the 1995 World Cup. It's going to be in 12 days, the 24th of June. And my question is, according to you, did this World Cup keep its promises? And I mean by its promises, a more equal South Africa on the rugby fields, but also in your society? 30 years after, do you think it kept its promises?
Yeah, thanks, Winnie. Thanks for joining us. I guess in France, if I read correctly there. Winnie, yeah, I think the players in this group, only the guys who's over 35, they would have been 5 when the 1995 Springboks played. I started playing in 1996 for the Springboks, so I think more the older guys can remember the actual day and the event and how everything panned out on that specific day. And I think now, 30 years later, I do think South African rugby, we're going through our ups and downs when it comes to results, and we've been successful here and there. But I think overall, if you live in South Africa, I think you'll understand the passion from everybody in South Africa for the Springboks and the Springboks back to the people in South Africa. So, yeah, I guess there were good times and bad times since 1995, but I think what rugby can contribute, and that's thank you to the media, thanks to the public and the supporters and, the players and the franchises and everybody. I think if everybody believes in it, we certainly feel from our side we're going in the right direction, and we're very proud of what happened in 1995 and where we are currently today.
Jan?
Thank you.
No problem.
Dankie, Zina. Dankie, Rassie. Goed om weer te gesels. Rassie, it's a very different year, very different season. I mean, the focus is on the British Irish Lions in Australia. You're between World Cups. Does this give you more of an opportunity to maybe try new players, broaden the squad, try new things, or are you just going to stick with what you normally do and play your best team as best you can?
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. The fact that the Lions are playing Australia and what's happening with the other countries, the Lions playing Australia will just probably give us a better chance to analyze Australia a little bit better before we play them. I guess that's the only influence that would really have on us. From our side, we would like to do what we did last year. And it's so it's nice to when, the media and the South African supporters start talking about the next World Cup and talking about players, the average ages of the players in the team and, the squad depth. It shows that they're really tracking us and where we're going. So we're obviously also doing that, but as I always try to say, I don't know if it always come across the right way. You have players that, because their careers end maybe in 2026, you can't, almost negate the fact that that's when their careers end, and because you're planning for the next World Cup, I must take caps away from those players. So, for sure we've got our one eye on the World Cup. But that's the old saying, if you look too far ahead, you forget about the present. So, no, we want to try and win all the games. Well, go with the mindset of trying to win all the games. That's not being arrogant. And, that's the mindset we want to go in with. But for sure, we're not going to use only 25, 27 players this year. The plan is to really broaden not just squad depth, also experience. Not to just guys, just 1 and 2 caps. So when we get to the next World Cup, hopefully we don't have lots of players under 15 caps. That would be ideal.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Z. I just got 2 questions, but I'll ask the second one if there's enough time at the end. Rassie, Nathan here. I'm just addressing the elephant in the room. I spoke to Footy, the under-20s coach, and he gave his thoughts on the kit. but what are your thoughts on the training kit? The public has had this, and some compared the kit to teams like Golden Arrows, just to name a few. I mean, what was your first reaction when you saw the kit?
Yeah, well, I think my face, we had this cold weather here all the time, and today the sun beat down us in this cold weather, and you can see my face is all red. So I think we're pretty bright at this time, red faces and yellow clothes and gold clothes. And you know, the thing is, as long as the players are comfortable and the kit doesn't stop them from training really hard, you know, it might not be particularly what I like as Rassie, you know, but it's comfortable. It's designed for us at the highest level. I'm not talking about the colors and the color scheme and all of those kind of things, but you know, there's lots of technology that's in this kit. You know, I'm not fashionable. I'm not really sure what is when cool and what works. You know, as long as our jerseys when we play on Saturdays. You know, I like the green and gold. I like the old traditional jersey. You know, in our days when I played in 1998, we had golden like shorts in 1998 to 1999. I'm pretty sure we had. So this is training kit. You know, we train in it. We don't play in it. You know, I hope when the guys see the training jersey, and obviously we don't have a say in that. So, you know, you put it on the first day. It's comfortable. And the players train in it. It doesn't make a difference how they play. And you know, the fans and you guys only really see it on television. You don't see it on Saturdays when we play, because hopefully that's the green and gold, which we all like. So yeah, I don't think if that's the big thing that we're moaning about currently, you know, then I'll be pretty happy with that, because you know the results probably is the most important thing for us on Saturdays.
Ronaldo?
Hi, Coach Rassie, Ronaldo Iso. Just to back you up on the sponsorships and Pick n Pay and the logos, I mean, as long as Pick n Pay can produce the funds for South African rugby, then obviously we can all be happy. But just on your squad selection, there's obviously been a lot of controversy for Evan Roos and his selection in the box squad. We know Cameron Hanekom is a great player and he's obviously been injured, but just from your perspective, I know you haven't really commented on the media from that perspective, but was there any reason for his exclusion from the box squad? Did you feel he was not ready for this income tour? What was your thoughts around that?
Yeah, obviously it wouldn't be a nice thing to talk about team selection now at stage where we have a big squad currently, but obviously I saw the things that people wrote. I think if anybody talks to Evan, he'll tell you himself. There's definitely not a personal issue. I think sometimes, you know, we all will differ with opinions on who plays well and who doesn't play well. And sometimes the guys, by all means, you know, Springbok standard, but at this stage, he's just competing with guys like I would say, and that's why Evan is drafted in now. Cameron is injured. Joarno Augustus hasn't passed his exit medical on his side yet, so Joarno is out and Cameron is out, and that's why Evan is pulled up. In our opinion, you know, us and the selectors, you know, Evan wasn't better informed than those, not informed, you know, he was not playing as well as the other guys. And that's normally the reason why we don't select guys. And that's not to say the guy is not Springbok level or the guy can't play Springbok rugby. You know, it's just that Waka can play 8, Cameron can play 8, Joarno can play 8, you know, Sia can play 8. You know, you've got then a couple of guys. We've got about 5 guys that can play 7 flanker. You know, so sometimes just the guy is good enough, but at that stage, it's just 2 or 3 other guys that we think, not because they're better rugby players, but they might fit into what we were trying to do as a Springbok playing, how we attack, how we defend, what we do in lineouts and so on. Maybe it just doesn't fit that play, and the other guys is just maybe a little bit more settled in those ways. So yeah, no, Cameron is injured, Joarno is out, and Cameron was, Evan was the next guy in. I mean, I watched the Bulls game live and I could see Cameron hamstring went, you know, so we phoned that evening, the Saturday evening, I phoned him through Charles, our manager, and said, listen, you're flying tomorrow, Cameron is obviously out. As I said, Joarno is also out. I can go through the injuries here for you guys to give you an update, but I don't want to take your time and questions. Sorry, we can go a little bit longer because I'm answering long. Sorry about that.
Mike?
Thank you, Coach.
See you.
Rassie, just looking ahead to the actual Barbarians game, Just your thoughts on it's the season start. Are you seeing it as a warm up for Italy where you'll feel a lot of your stronger guys, or is it a game where you want to blood some of the newer guys? How will you approach the Barbarians game?
Yeah, Ken, no, it's actually a difficult one to plan around, but it's almost an easy one to answer. We want to start on a good foot. I coach the Barbarians. Lots of these players has played for the Barbarians. The Barbarians is a setup where it shackles off. The pressure on the Barbarians is almost to play entertaining rugby and not to almost worry about the consequences. I remember when I coached them there, if they get together on a Sunday, it's a bunch of great names, talented guys who gets together. So, there's not a lot of analysis that we can do on them. So I guess we'll focus a lot on ourselves for that game. But yes, it is an opportunity to maybe some of the players who hasn't played for a while, maybe was in Japan. I probably think there won't be a lot of Bulls players in that specific game just because the Bulls will only arrive next week, Tuesday with us. And our build up to the test match weeks were 4 trainings last week, 3 trainings this week and 3 trainings next week. So, and then it's the Barbarian week. So some of the Bulls players will get 1 training session next week and then in the Barbarians week. So only where it's really needed, there will probably be Bulls players. It's not a test match because lose a test cap. And then to get a few of the other guys who maybe hasn't played for the Springboks, not a test match, but hasn't played for the Springboks, get a few of them in, but also make sure that the team is good enough that, you don't get a puck slaw in your first game against a quality team. Won't have the only pressure they would have is to play without pressure. And we would be expected to go there and beat them. So, yeah, I guess a bit of both, if that makes sense.
Thanks.
Cool.
Oh, thanks. Hi, Rassie. I think another guy who's just made headlines and his inclusion in the squad was Ntokozo Makaza. Maybe could you please just talk us through that? What impressed you most about him? And what's the thought process of bringing him into the squad? Is it for him to learn, or do you think he's already ready to make the step up to international rugby?
Yeah, no, I must say it's been a pleasure since the first day that we found him. We've coached now for since 2018 together as a coaching team, and we've tried when there was still a SA Cup, which is still there, Currie Cup Premier Division, there was First Division, there was Varsity Cup, and there was the Voda Cup in the old days. And we never always sure when you grab a player from a Japanese league or from the Premiership or from the top 14, you kind of could have gauged where that player are. And, him being consistently the top varsity player, point scoring wise, I think in the history of the Varsity Cup, I'm being 22, 23 years old, you almost feel is this one of the players that slipped through the net, and you'll never know until you've worked with him. First of all, maybe meet the personality and in alignment camp, and then now at the actual camp, meet him on the field. Because we know when we pick up a Currie Cup player, he'll probably take a while. We pick up a Voda Cup player in the old days, Vodacom Cup player, which is now, the SA Cup almost, or maybe. So, yeah, it's nice to know he's definitely somebody who we think can one day play for the Springboks. It might be a bit too early now. And we probably knew that a lot of the, either the Bulls or the Sharks guys would not have been at this camp. And that includes guys like Mapimpi. If the Sharks were out, a guy like Kirtley would have not been back. So we knew there was 1 or 2 gaps open in the wing position for us to make the trainings work here. He slotted in really well, but we're all realistic about him. I think he can one day play for the Springboks. I don't think he's around the corner. When I say that, I think in the next 2 weeks, maybe a little bit later, or 3 weeks. But he's certainly not way off the pace. And, a guy who kicks 92% while playing for UCT and that wing on top there and doing that consistent, not 92, but very close to that. That's also 12 points in a match for you. So I think he's going to make it one day. And if we didn't try, we would never know.
Can you show?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Rassie. Good afternoon to Jesse there. Rassie, twofold question. First one, Please update us on injuries, where players are in terms of recovery, who's a big doubt for the test season. And also, just second question, just talk us through watching Jake and Jacques coaching against each other indirectly in the URC final.
What's the second question about the URC final?
Jake and Jacques coaching indirectly against each other in the URC final, yes.
Okay, maybe I'll just maybe quickly read. I actually printed it just to make sure I don't miss out anybody. Because obviously we will combine this in the release afterwards. And so we currently, we're 55 guys more or less in the mix, but there was actually 65. If you take guys who got long-term injuries and so on. So we've had alignment camps with 80 players in the beginning. And sorry if this takes a while, but I think it's good because we haven't really updated you guys on this and ladies on the call on this. So long-term injuries, Trevor Nyakane, Frans Malherbe, Dion Fourie, Ulrich Lowe, Cameron Hanekom. They'll, I'm not sure if they'll play this year again for us. Not medically cleared yet, who's got recent injuries but hopefully somewhere during this year being cleared, some very close to and some a little bit longer. Gerard Steenkamp, Ntutukum Tunu, so both two loose heads there, which is pretty vital. Pieter Steff, the two-way, we just actually haven't seen him. We think he's very close to it. We'll talk to him next week. Ben Jason Dixon, I think July. Giorno Augustus has got an issue and he's moving between clubs from Northampton to Exeter. No, Ulster, moving from Northampton to Ulster. So, he has to be cleared by Northampton and then have to accept that by Ulster first. So we can't intervene there until that's done. And then Lucanio is still struggling with a bit of a knee injury. So that's not medically cleared yet. Guys who's got injuries, who we think is in the next 1 to 3 weeks available. Jasper Wiese really doing well on his injury. We think even from a Barbarians game, he might be available. Grant Williams is very close, might be the Italy test match or at the latest the Georgia test match. And Mapimpi pulled his hamstring, which we hope is a 10-day injury. Then just to maybe finish this off, then I answer a lot of questions. Only joining us a little bit later for many reasons. Damian Willemse is joining us. He's playing for us, but only available for the Italy test match because the Stormers didn't make the semi-final. That wasn't an extra match that he could. He did his tackle school and all of that stuff, but he'll only be available the first Italy test match where he would have been available the Barbarian match. So Damian Willemse only, then Thomas Tatoe must still finish with Bath. So we guess we'll only get him on the Sunday before the first Italy test match. So we're a bit thin on loose heads. If you take Gerard and Chunu is out, there's actually this Ox and Jan Hendrik at this stage there. But obviously there's a few guys that can swing on both sides. RG Snyman will only join us after Leinster's game. Hopefully that's early next week. Andre Pollard after Leicester's final, they're playing this week, which hopefully early next week. And then the Bulls players. That's why I said I can't see a lot of the Bulls players playing in the Barbarian match because we're trying new things as a coaching staff and management team and players together. And we've now had a full week of training tomorrow. And then next week is a little bit shorter. And if they arrive on Tuesday, we only then still have a Thursday training before the next week we're going to Cape Town. So, and that's about 8, 9 guys or 7, 8, 9 guys. If you include the injuries, it's about off camera they out now. It's about 7, 8 players. Yeah, I think I've ran through everything. I hope that helps. And on the thing on the South African coaches coaching, I hope the Bulls win. I'm very good friends with Jacques, but I hope, I think what Jake's done on many fronts, guy like Jan Hendrik making me being able to play 2 positions. I was in the beginning a bit frustrated and thought, this guy should have played many more test caps if he just focused on 1 position. But now what they've done with him to play loosehead and hooker is just great for us. So, sometimes we think we're clever on this side, but then a guy like Jake helps us out there. The same with Ruan, who plays 7 flanker. Love to see how RG do against them. A guy like Grobisch is playing hooker there. Grobisch is knocking really hard on the door. So, yeah, I hope the Bulls win. Straight up, not that I don't hope Jacques always does well. When Sean Everett coached the team the other day and, when Franco was there the other day, we always hope the South African teams win.
Thank you.
Steven.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Rassie, I would like your thoughts, please, on Marnus from the Scarlets. He looks quite dynamic in the games, but it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on him. Also, curious as to how difficult this situation at scrum half is for you in terms of depth. A guy like Ambrose, for example, was a guy early in your coaching tenure, was on the radar. So is it difficult to was it a difficult position for you to think about?
No, definitely. Stephen, is really not easy. Grant's been struggling this year with injuries. I think Jaden didn't have the greatest purple patch. He's also struggling with an injury or two. Then we have got to do old hands in Faf and Kobus who's coming back to the Stormers now. That's 4. Then which one am I missing? Help me. Faf I said, Kobus I said, Grant I said, Jaden I said, Krappies, and Mornay, who's been, for me, he was one of the most solid players, me personally, in the URC. So that's 5 already. And then Ambrose, we know Ambrose, and Ambrose has been in the setup, and he's definitely Springbok material. And maybe just the familiarity we have with the current scrum halves, we must just be open-minded with that. Like many other players in the Bull setup and some in the Stormer setup, even in the Lion setup, So now it's very tough. And those guys are definitely not Springbok level players. They all are Springbok level players. And you look at Jake's team, Jan Hendricks is Springbok, if Gerard is a Springbok, Grobbies is a Springbok, they've got Ruan who's a Springbok, Marcel who's a Springbok, Cameron is a Springbok, Kobus Visa is now in the mix with us, Ambrose is a Springbok, Johan Goosen is a Springbok, Willie Leroux is a Springbok, Kainan Moody is a Springbok. So all of those players, and then a guy like Sebastian de Klerk, there's no 2 ways about it, that he's also knocking really hard on the door. So no, it's not easy. It's difficult to choose. But we almost knew that one of the Sharks team or the Bulls players wouldn't be available for this first camp. So that's why, not the luxury, that's why we could take a chance with a few young and unnamed or unknown players like Makaza, like Renzo and those guys, just to get to know the guys. But maybe it's, sorry, what was the second question? Marnus. Now, Marnus has been monitoring. That's why I'm saying for all the competitions, we're trying to track the players from the same areas, what we expect from a hooker, what we expect from an open side or from a 7 flank. And that might differ from a Lions coach, a Bull coach, a Cardiff coach, a top 14 coach. And Marnus pretty much fit very much what we want from a hooker. And we've been tracking him for a couple of years, but we've been blessed with hookers. And when Dion could still play there, and Marco played for us there, and Schalk Brits played there, and Malcolm is there, and Bongi is there, and Grobbies is there. But then as guys get older, you got more mature, and he's certainly been one of the standout players in terms of the, I don't want to say a spectacular word, but about the metrics that we use, he's really fitting in really well, and hopefully he makes it.
Thanks, Zina. How's it, Rassie? How's it, Jesse? Rassie, when people obviously think of the Boks, first thing that they comes to mind is, our forward power, our scrum power, our big front rows. Do you think that this season's quite a good one to see a little bit of a changing of the guard in that, Kitsy's retired, France has been struggling with various injuries, Trevor with injuries and, his age, Bongi and Vincent are getting on in the years. So do you think that this season's quite a good one to see quite a few new look front rows and bringing in some guys, especially looking ahead to that 2027 World Cup? And as you said, getting quite a few caps under those guys to get them to that level by that time.
No, top 100% spot on. Again, Kitsy's retired, so Kitsy's out of the mix. France, I think, not likely for this season. Trevor definitely not. And then if you look at, we've got Asenati in. We've been really working hard with the Lions behind the scenes to get the best out of him. Guy like Neetling is definitely somebody, he's not a boy, but I think he's 30 around now, but that's a lekker age for a tight head. You know, a guy like Thomas du Toit is really doing well on that side. He's one of the top players there. But then, yeah, there is a few youngsters, not youngsters, Wilco is doing really well. So, yes, I think it's natural that the older guys will either retire or fall off the pace. But we wouldn't like to change our game and not still keep that forward power. So hopefully the guys that get the opportunity, I might have left out a few names now. Tutuku Mchunu is unfortunately injured now. He's got a knee injury. So, yeah, there will definitely be other guys playing this year, without a doubt. I think you're right there.
Ronaldo?
Jesse, just a question for you. You're obviously one of the several overseas-based players in the Springbok setup, and there's kind of renewed debate around the selection of players. And obviously, Coach Jake White recently said he believes all players should be based in South Africa to make our competition a bit more stronger. As someone playing abroad, what is your opinion about having the best players based in South Africa, like the likes of yourself, RG Snyman, all of the guys currently top picks for the Boks? Do you think that makes a difference in terms of our growth of South African rugby?
Yeah, I think, obviously, first of all, I think if you look at a coach like Jake, he's also coached in Japan for 5 years. I think he's coached over in France for another couple of years, which has probably given or made him a better coach, and he's learned probably a lot of IP there from different kind of players and different ways of how people think and how they want to play and approach the game. So I think from my personal point of view, and I know a lot of the other guys share similar thinking processes. When you go over there, you're playing with Fijians, Tongans, New Zealanders, Australians, Welsh guys, English guys, and you learn different things from everyone. And I think it's also good to see the game in a different view, in a different way. And I think I've certainly enjoyed it. Being over in Japan, there's a lot less distractions than being back here in South Africa. So it's been great in terms of working on our games. And I think the guys that come back from overseas always come back into camp pretty focused and willing to work hard. So I think it's been great.
Zeke, and I just add to that one. Just to maybe put that in perspective, I think if you look about players that we've selected for the Springboks, I think you'll find very seldom that a player younger, 26, 27, we have very seldom picked a young player. I think Jasper must have been one of the youngest players that we've picked from abroad, and I think it was 24, 25. I'm not 100% sure. I think 26 already. So when Joarno was actually called up now, yes, he was SA Junior, World Junior Player of the Year, I think, but that was 2017 or something like that. He's been abroad for many years, and unfortunately he's injured now, so, he won't be joining us, and that's the reason Ivan, and for all the other reasons people are saying Ivan is pulled up is because Cameron and Jarno is out. So, we don't encourage a young player to go over there and think we're going to pick him from there. I think if you go through our list, there's very few young players that actually get picked. So if you just look at the Bulls team who plays this weekend, there's at least 13 Springboks in there. Northampton beat Leinster. There was not a lot of English players in there. They beat Leinster. Bulls can beat Leinster this weekend. Is it then a bad thing? If Ruan Norkia came through because RG and Loot is not playing there, but Ruan has showed he's what he can do, and Kobus Wiese is there. Again, if you look from the other side of the coin, maybe for example the Bulls, is Kirtley from Pretoria, is who of the Bulls teams are actually from Pretoria? So doesn't that really take a lot from the Stormers team? So, there's always a lot of arguments or different views about that, but if the Bulls win this weekend, what would it mean? It would be fantastic that all of those Springboks and a lot of guys, Sebastian is knocking really hard on the door, Kriel is really knocking hard on the door, so then there's another few Springboks in the making for us. So it's not an argument, sorry, it's just a different way at looking at things,
Guys, we'll take 2 more English questions, and then we'll go over to Afrikaans. So, Winnie, you can ask, and then Nate.
Thank you, Zina. Hi, Jesse. I'm asking you a question about the 30th anniversary of the 1995 World Cup. You were, if I'm correct, very young at this time.
Yes,
but
1 year old.
but it's going to be in 12 days. And from the French perspective, I'm just wondering, according to you, should we still see South African rugby through racial perspective, or are you past this? Have you turned this page already about players of color, white players in South Africa?
No, I think we've turned that corner a long time ago. I think this team, I can honestly and proudly say that we represent the whole of South Africa. We get on with each other so well, and it's been something that we've worked on, and we've spoken in and amongst the team for years. And I really think this is a team that represents South Africa in each and every way. And I think that's what we do every single day when we go out to train, and when we go out on the weekends to play for South Africa. So I definitely think it's a team that has turned that corner and represents South Africa in all aspects.
Okay, thank you. Question, Nate?
Thank you, Zina. Rassie, we have SuperSport as the broadcaster, and they broadcast the European rugby, URC Super Rugby. Don't you think it will be ideal to broadcast the Japanese league as well, since so many top South African players who are active Springboks play there, and the people can see how they are performing? And I'm sure for Jesse, for you as well, you would love to see South Africans back at home be able to watch the Japanese league.
Oh, it would be wonderful, as in with kit that we wear, and as in with any other things, we don't have control over that. I can just say from outside as coaches, we could get all 7 angles on a Sunday morning, 8 hours after the guys played, and with our analysis guys, as I said, in how we measure those guys is sometimes tough in the different leagues, and it's sometimes maybe, as you say, tough for South Africans to understand, because I think there's something that Japanese rugby brings through the players that play there to South Africa, which is speed, fitness, a high level of pace, and maybe saving the body on the physical side of things. So yes, it would be great for the people to see it. We watch all of it, and we analyze all of it, and like we do with the Varsity Cup and with the Premiership and with the SA Cup, and so whenever a player pops out, but yeah, it would be fantastic if you guys can see it, and yeah, we get access to it because we obviously have to pick players from there, but it would be great, but I don't know how to make that happen.
Okay, that's the English part. We're going to let Jesse go because he's Afrikaans. He's not quite Afrikaans. So thanks, Jess. And then Percy, jy kan maar 2 vrae vra, Percy, want daar's 2 ander.
Zina, ek sê vir jou baie dankie. Ek was bekommerd daaroor gewees. Rassie, baie dankie. Goeiemôre meneer. Meneer Rasmus, net kortliks, ek kry 2 vrae. So ek met 2 vrae baie moes die mens spaarsame gebruik. Jy het beleidingskampe met jou Springbok-groep gehad, meneer. Jy het nou kans gehad om 2 dae met spelers op die veld te oefen, meneer. Net kortliks, hoe is die gees in die kampie oomblik? Wat is julle as leiers se gevolgtrekking oor die groep spelers wat julle gekies het? My tweede vraag gaan ek aan dit vra.
Ja, Percy, die eerste ding is die groep wat gekies is, dis nie te sê net daai wat gaan vir Suid-Afrika speel hierdie jaar nie. Daar's ouens wat ons net geweet het, daar gaan either die Bulls of die Sharks gaan deurgaan, hopelik na die finaal toe, en die Bulls is nou deur, so daar 7-8 spelers uit, plus Cameron wat nou beseer is en Elrich wat beseer is. So, en dan nie geweet wanneer hulle gaan terugkom. So dit het nou weer die voorreg gegee om ouetjies soos Renzo te kyk en om Makaza in te bring, want hy soos Kynens speel byvoorbeeld vir die Bulls nou, so ons ou soos Kean Hon in te kry weer een. So ek dink as ouens na die groep kyk, wat hulle weet, ons draai altyd soveel as moontlik ouens na kyk. Eers plek in die beleidingskampe, jy ken baie van die ander ouens, so jy nooi nie baie van hulle nie, en hulle hoef nie baie te leer van hoe ons dinge, want dis maar meer 'n kultuur wat ons draai vestig, en hoe doen ons dinge, en hoe werk ons protocols en sulke goeders. Maar nou, soos jy reg sien, nou op die veld gekom het hierdie week, was great, want nou is dit nie net praat in 'n boardroom en verduidelik en deur goeders stap, want ons het nooit ooit 'n kamp gehad nog van ek afrigter is vir ons ouens fisies in die kampe. Ek meen terwyl die URC of daai tyd Super Rugby of Pro 14 of wat ook al aan die gang was, want die gevaar is jy ook kan beseer word, en hy speel in elk geval Saterdag vir die Sharks of vir die Lions, so hy gaan nie baie onthou van wat So ons het nooit fisiese goeders gedoen nie. So hierdie week was lekker fisies gestart met fiksheidstoetse, obviously medicals en al daai klas van dinge. Dis hoekom ek al die name nou kon noem hierso. Maar obviously, as daar nog 'n span gekies is, dan is daar maar 'n bietjie stilte. Baie van die jong ouetjies vind nog hulle voete, van die ouer manne hulle probeer bewys dat hulle nog op daai pace kan bly. So ek dink daar's 'n lekker opgewonde, ek wil nie sê angstigheid, die opgewonde nervousness, is dit die regte woord, senuweeagtigheid, want jong ouetjies wil inkom, die ouer manne wil wys hulle kan nog al wees, en dan sal die ouens hier in die middel wat half gesettel is. En ek dink dis nou van daar af waar ons nou die regte besluite moet neem. Ons sal waarskynlik, and maybe I must say this in English as well, ons sal waarskynlik die groep Sondagoggend aankondig vir volgende week na die Bulls game te kyk watter beserings is daar in die Bull game. So ons sal miskien met so 40-42 spelers gaan, waar ons heiliglik so 65 eintlik het, as jy al die beseerde spelers optel. Met eintlik net so 53 wat actually nou in kampnommers is. So ons sal dit verminder na 40-42. And just for the English guys, we'll just on Sunday morning probably, after we check the Bulls injuries, announce the guys who will be with us training from Monday next week.
Rassie, en dan net laastens kan ek net vra, jy het nou 'n mondvol gegee oor 'n lys moontlike beserings of spelers wat nie gekies kan word nie. Jy praat ook nou van die Bulls wat 'n harde eindstryd gaan speel hierdie naweek. Ek is veral geïnteresseerd oor in Afrikaans manier oor 'n speler soos Joandre Augustus manier wat julle nou moontlik na wou gekyk het. Wat sê jy van Afrikaans? Wat is sy status manier? Is hy beseer of het julle issues met sy clearance in dokumente? En is dit 'n terugslag vir jou as 'n nasionale afrigter om nie moontlik vir hom nou te sien nie meneer?
Nee, dit is 'n terugslag. Ek dink eers, jy weet, moet nog Anthem wat gaan doen het wat hulle aan Leinster gaan doen het, jy weet, party ouens kan in spanne speel wat titels wen. En ek onthou hom, Trokkie ken ek van daai dae af by die Stormers. En hy was die junior speler van die toernooi gewees, die Junior World Cup met die Bokke gewees. So, jy weet maar hy's nie nou meer 'n light nie, hy's nou 'n groot man en het al bietjie getravel. Hy gaan nou na Ulster toe nie, ek sê ter Ulster toe, maar en hy het ek wil nou nie oor sy mediese probleme praat nie, maar hy's nog nie heeltemal gekleer. Ek dink is met sy rug. En so hy's nou tussen twee klubs en ons kan hom nou nie by ons intrek met 'n besering wat ons dan op die eind gaan rehab, maar dan sy nog by Ulster ingeneem. So is 'n bietjie 'n tegniese ene en dan die ander een het Cameron of so beseer gekry en dis hoekom Evan Roos ingetrek is. Maar nee, dit is 'n terugslag. Ek is nog baie opgewonde geweest vir hom. Hy's baie dieselfde tipe agste man as 'n ou soos Jasper Wiese. En gelukkig Jasper lyk ook nou baie goed. So met die slegte nuus met Joarno en Cameron is daar dan 'n bietjie goeie nuus vir Evan en Jasper lyk ook regtig of hy binne die volgende 11 selfs in Barbarian game kan reg wees.
Ras, ek sê weer baie dankie.
Percy, ek wil net sê jy dan klaar op Facebook gesê hy is uit. Nou vra jy die vraag.
DJ.
Hendrik, jy kan gou vra and then afterwards we're going to embargo for Sundays.
Zina, nee, ek wil graag vir die media Sondag vra. Kan ek maar nou vra?
Okay, that's perfect guys. Please note from now on, this is exclusive for Sunday media, so please do not use these quotes before Sunday. Hendrik, jy kan gaan?
Dankie Zina, hallo Rassie, hallo Zina. Net eerstens verskoning vra namens my geliefde vriend Percy wat na jou verwys het as meneer, natuurlik dokter Erasmus wees. Maar ons verskoon vir Percy daar, jammer, ek moes dit net inkry, sorry Percy. Rassie, nie op 'n ernstige noot, jy het nog gepraat van Trokkie wat in 2017 die wêreldspeler van die jaar was. En as ek nou reg onthou het jy in 2018 vir Kobus Wiese eerste keer na oefenkamp toe genooi. En is 'n lang tyd wat nou verloop het en jy het hom nou eers weer vroeër vanjaar na die bokbeleidingskamp toe genooi. Ek net hoor, wat is jou gedagtes rondom Kobus?
Kobus of Jasper?
Kobus.
Kobus Jasper se broer, die seun van Vlot. Okay, ja. Nee, Kobus dink ek dink hoe Jake hom gebruik in die span is skitterend. Ons het 'n paar ouens wat 7 flank en 4 kan speel. Vincent Tsuka kan 7-4 speel. Jy weet Sous kan 5-7 speel. Roan kan nou danksy Jake 5 en 7 speel. JL de Preek kan 4 en 7 speel. En Kobus kan 4 7 en hy roep soms die lynstaande by die Bulls toe Roan beseer was. Dit maak ook ons opsies baie oop om om ander ou so Siak in 8 vir ons speel, 'n ou so Squagga kan 6 speel, Marco kan 6 speel, Marco het 8 gespeel vir die ouens daarso. Jy het nou vir Jasper wat kan 8 speel. So Kobus, ons hardloop altyd uit slotte, waar ek nog altyd afgerig het. Het hou altyd 'n hele klomp slotte in die begin van die seisoen en dan wanneer dit aan die einde van die seisoen kom, dan ons bietjie dun op slotte. So weet om nou amper te sê die 4 spesialist slotte as jy vat Eben en sê Jean Klein en Loot en RG en ek mis nou een obvious ene kan jy nou dadelik onthou nie Salman. As jy hulle vat, jy vat hulle uit en uit slotte en jy sê okay, maar dan lekker swingers tussen 7 en 4 is Sous, is Kobus Wiese, is JL, is Vincent Tsuka. So dit help nogal baie vir as ons dalk bietjie moet spanne wil rondspeel, as ons momentum hou, wil ons graag try om ouens goeie testcaps te gee en Kobus val in van daai groep wat dit baie goed cover vir ons.
Ja.
Is dit jou vraag gewees, Hendrik? Het ek jou reg verstaan?
Jy het nou reg verstaan, Rassie, is daar nog iets anderste wat jou wat van sy persoonlike spel beïndruk jou? Hoekom het jy van hom gelike in 2019? Hoekom like jy nou hom weer? Is hy omdat die werk wat hy in die donker gange doen, is dit bedryfmale, wat betrek jy die meeste?
Hy is ook maar weg en dit gaan speel oor see en jy weet ons ook al gesê as 'n ou relatief jonk is en gaan oor see dan is dit maar moeilik om 'n ou in jou mixing te kies. So nee, die ou is also groot en hoe Jake hom gebruik is hy kry momentum en stop momentum. Jy weet dan as 'n ou nou moet Wilco praat en vra hoeveel skram daai ou agter jou en hoe voel dit wanneer hy agter jou skram en jy praat met die ander stitte, dan is dit maar daai fisiese harde ding wat momentum gee en momentum stop en ek wil nou nie sê die ander ouens doen dit ook, maar presies wat hy doen by Jake en hoe Jake hom gebruik sal ons graag wil hy moet die tipe dinge doen by ons.
Dankie.
Yep.
Hi everyone, hello Rassie, hope you're well. You mentioned earlier there is the obligation to sort of broaden your squad and sort of give guys caps and sort of more experienced players as well, give them more caps as well. But there's also this season the 2 tests away to New Zealand. There's the test away to Ireland. There's a test away to France. Do you see this year as more daunting than say last year?
Yeah.
In your selection, how will that impact your selections going forward?
No, well, look, the moment you say, the Barbarian games, you're going to play around a little bit. That's why we probably want to pick a pretty steady team with flooding some guys there, but it's not actually a test match. But it's going to be one hell of a spectacle, I believe. I'm not sure what the weather in Cape Town will be like, but that definitely will be test match intensity with more pressure on us, obviously. But then the 2 Italy games is everybody's expecting us just to beat them. They were really competitive in the first 2 rounds of Six Nations, and then they ran a little bit low on player depth, because they don't have a hell of a lot of players, but they only play 2 test matches against us. I know they've got a warm-up test match as well. So they'll be physical and up for it in the way that coach, they were really gutsy on defense. So we also can't not perform so that, we keep our belief and you guys, the media and our supporters keep our belief. And then we've got the last Georgia game, which we all know the Georgians are, it's probably one of the most physical. If you take them up lightly up front, then the whole game becomes a mess. So, but it gives us opportunity to do in these first 4 test matches, I believe, to not mess around with teams, but strategically have good plans in place to see how many players can we try and test. And some old guys like Louis Jager hasn't played for us prior to the previous World Cup. There's a couple of guys who hasn't been with us for a while, and then really try some youngsters and get some more test caps on the other players. And then after that, it's the rugby championships will be massive, as you say, Australia here, and then we know New Zealand. None of us were born when we last beat them at Eden Park, so that's a big challenge. So I think the build-up phase is nice. and then a little bit of a break before we got on one of the most daunting end of year tours. So no, a tough year, and if our planning is not spot on, and then it will not be a great year.
If I may, just one more. Have you seen anything in, say, the Six Nations or even in Super Rugby or elsewhere that has sort of got you thinking that maybe there's one or two things you need to tweak to your game? Have you observed anything that sort of pushed you in that direction?
Yeah, and I think, that's why, if you have a guy who was in England and you see what the English guys are doing in certain areas, and what Northampton did now to beat a guy which is almost the Irish team. There's certainly things that Northampton did what makes sense to us, on the attacking side, and Tony and Felix and Stock, and those guys are all over that, and hopefully we can learn some from that. There was some in club rugby. Obviously, you always learn something from the French game, and what you see from them is big physicality, going 7-1, 6-2, and have these massive forwards with brilliant decision makers in the back line. Super Rugby is definitely got a lot of that speed and excitement back to it, and there's lots of teams, and I think the Australian players are really showing up at the right time, and I think the Lions series is going to be really interesting. So that's why it helped to have somebody from Ireland, somebody, a fitness coach from England, an analyst who was in France for a long time. And, it's just, if we're only going to try and do it what we know in South Africa, we'll always stay at the same level, where I think as we try to learn from everybody all over the world, yeah, you're correct. There's a lot of things that we can learn, and we hope to implement.
Thank you.
Laaste vraag, Hendrik.
Dankie, Zina. Ek net inhaak wat Liam gevra het, Rassie. Hy het genoem nou van die moeilike, of jy het ook nou genoem van die moeilike 2 wegtoetse teen die All Blacks en Ierland en Frankryk, die einde van die jaar waar die Wêreldbeker loting gedoen, en ons weet hoe moeilik was die vorige Wêreldbeker, die loting wat ons gehad het. So jy sê hierdie is waarskynlik jou moeilikste jaar as wat jy van 2018 betrokke is by Bokke, wat die skedule aanbetref vir julle. En as jy wil proefnemings maak met die oog op the greatest rugby rivalry volgende jaar, en 2027 is Julie waarskynlik jou beste kans om aan die Wêreldbeker loting aan die einde van die jaar is om in Julie daai proefnemings te maak.
Ja, nee, ek dink jy's reg, Hendrik, maar jy weet 2022 was ook al so moeilik een toe ons gespeel het. Ierland, Frankryk, die laaste in toe was Ierland, Frankryk, Italië, Engeland dink ek. Daai was ook 'n moeilike einde van die jaar toer gewees. En dan Nieu-Seeland weg van die huis af is net baie moeilik. So ja, om die balans te kry tussen bietjie te bou, maar te bly wen is natuurlik die heel belangrikste ding. Want omdat die loting die einde van hierdie jaar is. En so ja, dit sal altyd maar wees, hoorie, kom ons bou, maar as ons nie momentum het nie, dan kan ons eintlik nie bou in die volgende game. So alhoewel ons beplanning het vir elke toets en wat ons dink ons gaan probeer doen, die oomblik as jy bietjie momentum verloor na 'n plek het, dan vat jy weer een rad terug voor jy weer 2 rad kan vorentoe gaan. So ons het ons planne regtig mooi in plek, maar jy weet, daar kom net 'n span en hy druk 'n stokkie vooruit en dan moet hom ou maar weer oorbeplan. Maar jy's 100% reg. Dis hoe hierdie jaar gaan wees, dat hierdie Julie heel waarskynlik die tyd is om 'n paar goeders te probeer.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Dankie, Rassie. I'll send out the recording in a little bit. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Okay.
Baie dankie.
Thank you.